Hey guys, Daniel here, welcome back to the Modan's Garage. Today I've got a new chain and sprocket kit to fit to the DR. Now, I went with a 520 chain, stock is 525. Two reasons I went for a 520. I couldn't get the sprocket sizes that I wanted in a 525, which was 15 on the front, which is your stock size, but I wanted a 44 rear. I currently run either a 15 or a 14 front and the stock 42 rear. So I'm kind of hoping a 1544 is going to be somewhere in the middle between a 14 and a 15 front. So I couldn't get the sprocket size I wanted, and also I wanted a split link rather than a rivet link, because I don't have a tool to do that, and split link is fine for the DR. So I couldn't get them in a 525 from my local dealer, so I just went with a 520. DID gold ring chain, and they are, I think they're JT sprockets. And I paid 235 New Zealand for that, which I think was fair enough. I couldn't find it cheaper online. First off, we want to take off my front sprocket cover, which is a B&B one, so it's slightly different than the standard one. I think the standard one's got 8mm bolts, I've got Allen keys, and we want to slacken the front sprocket bolts before we take the wheel off. So let's say mine's 5mm Allen keys. Yours will be slightly different, depending on what you've got. It's just 3 10mm for the sprocket. So this just twists and then pulls off. Actually, next up I'm going to cut the chain. Now, I'm still running the stock chain on this bike. The bike has done 32,000 kilometres. I still had plenty of adjustment. I'm just past 3 there. That's currently on the stock sprocket sizes. The only issue I had was I did have a couple of tight links in there. And you could see that when you spun it, there was a couple of links that stuck up rather than went smoothly. It was due for replacement. I've got an off-road trip coming up, so I don't want to be fucking around. So now all we have to do is remove the rear wheel, replace the sprockets, and feed on the new chain. With the wheel out of the way, you can pull off the cush drive hub, and all the wee rubbers will fall out. It's all good. And we'll just set the wheel to the side. One thing you want to do with your cush drive anytime you have it off is just feel the spare in here. They're quite common for going. My first original one failed, I think around about 10,000 Ks, it was completely gone. This one's now done almost another 20,000 on it, and it's fine. So yeah, that's my stock sprocket there. Doesn't look too bad, it's getting a wee bit worn. This has been on the bike the whole time, so 32,000 Ks of sprocket's done. So I can hold the front with an Allen key and just buzz off the nuts in the back. So 6mm Allen key and 12mm socket on the rear. You've got your nut and a washer. They're not actually locked head, they have got a... It's not an eye locking nut, but it is a locking nut. It's now we can remove that. Just check this surface here is clean, which this one is, and then stick on the new sprocket. So the stock one's 42 tooth on the 2017 DR. I'm going up to 44 and keeping the stock front 15. So bolt washer nut. And you just want to nip them up evenly, opposite corners, just to pull it in flush. And then once you've done that, you just go around them all once again, just make sure they're all tight. So with that cover removed that we removed earlier, the sprocket just pulls off. And you can see the condition of the sprocket there. This sprocket has probably done about half of those 30,000 Ks. The other half has been with a 14 tooth. Still doesn't look too bad. So I've just got some kerosene on a brush. This is the seal retainer in here, if you ever wondered. This comes in stock. I can't remember what year it was, but the older bikes did not have this on them. Now we want to just put just a wee bit of grease on the actual counter shaft there. Not a lot of grease, like I said, just a tiny wee bit. And it just helps to prevent wear between the sprocket and the counter shaft, because you don't really want to wear your counter shaft out. So the sprocket should just slide on. And the sprocket is sided. You can see that's high on one side and low on the other. And it does go the flat side out. Put our wee retainer on. So the retainer goes on and then twists. Lines up with your bolts, and then your sprocket can't come off. And then once we get the chain on, I will put a wee bit of Loctite on these bolts and put it in gear and put my foot in the brake, or even just put my foot in the brake and that'll hold it. And we can tighten these up and put some Loctite on them. Now these ones I will tighten them up by hand because they are quite small. Right guys, we're just putting the rear wheel back in now, and I've just put the cush drive back into the wheel and then wheel back on, and then we can run our chain. I've changed the tyre obviously. I'll just put this axle nut on loosely just now because we will need to adjust the chain. And I'll set it at that 0 position. I was told by the Suzuki dealership it's maybe a couple of links longer than stock, but he said because I've gone up in the rear it should be okay. Worst case I've got to cut a couple of links out, which isn't a massive issue. Stick it on your sprocket and just feed it up and over. I'll just pull it around the front sprocket, and back we go. I would say so. Look at the slack there, that's ridiculous. Right. Now, so that's all the way fully adjusted there. So what I'm going to do, if I set that back to 0. So I reckon right there is where I'm going to have to cut it. So I've just pulled that literally as tight as I can there. And yeah, that link right there, so I don't think I can reach the next one. So we'll try this one and we can always cut it again if we need to. It is moving. There we go. Alright, let's try it this time. So that's the slack there. Should be able to adjust that. Hopefully. Oh yeah. That's around about halfway, so that's about 4. Probably wouldn't want it much tighter than that, to be honest. So that'll be alright. So I'll slacken it all off again. So you've got your pin here, and then you put 2 seals on it. The seals are not sided, so they just slip over. Sachet of grease. It says to coat the seals with the grease. This is probably one of those cases where, I mean, too much is better than too little. So coat the shit out of that. Let's poke it through the back. I'm going to coat the actual pins as well, to be fair. Coat the pins in this side. Put the 2 seals over the end. And then put the pin over the plate over the end. Right, so I took that outer plate off there, and it's too tight to fit over the pins, so that it must need to be pressed on. Ideally you'd probably use a G-clamp for that. I don't have a G-clamp, I've got this sort of like wee milling vise here. So I'm going to hold that up and onto it, and just use a socket on the pins. Swapping between the 2 pins. I'm not sure if you can go too far with this. Just got a little bit ahead of time, just until you can get that split link on, really, and making sure at all times that it remains free and you're not binding up. I need to invest in some kind of a tool that I can do this trail side. That should be it. Still free. I should be able to bash that split link on now. Oh yeah. Like so. So I was a bit more involved than what I thought. I thought I'd be able just to push it on, do it basically by hand. I had to use some form of a press tool there. But oh well. Right, we'll just adjust this chain up, get those front bolts in, and tighten up the wheel and we're done. About 4, I think. We'll go to 4. 4 and 4. That's probably around about right. The DID chain reckons, what does it reckon? Between 20 and 25 mil. Top we're at 25 and 55. So that's about 30 mil of slack there. So it's a wee bit of a slack slide, but you're better to be too slack than too loose. This chain probably will slacken off quite quick in the first 1000 Ks. I've tightened up that back wheel just using the tyre lever. You can torque the back wheel. I choose not to torque the back wheel and the front wheel because this is all I carry with me and I need to be able to remove that at the side of the road. You can torque it, and I will leave the torque in the description if you are interested. Come to the front and we've just got these wee retaining bolts for the front sprocket. Now you want to Loctite these. Just a little dab of blue Loctite will be alright. All I really do is just foot in the rear brake and just give them a wee nip up. Cool. Right guys, that's chain and sprocket replacement on a Dr650. Really simple job to do. I like the split links. I will need to get a special tool to keep in my toolkit, I think, for doing that. I got 32,000 out of the stock chain, so I expect this one to last that long, if not a wee bit longer. It is a 520 chain, which is a bit narrower. They're not meant to last as long, but it is a higher quality chain. It's a DID Xring chain, so it should last just as long, if not longer, than the stock one. Sweet. Hopefully this sprocket setup worked quite well as well. We'll find out soon. So anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you all next time. See you later.